What's up, everyone? Thanks for listening to the Way Too Serious podcast. This is your host here, Jerry Larson.
Hey, what's up? It's Josh. How's it going?
Dude, it is going. Oh yeah, it's going great, man. Nice. We got a fun and exciting episode for you guys today. But before we get into that stuff, how's everything going up there in Michigan?
You know, it's great. I was told I need to stop trying to skip pleasantries and dive right into the topics. We've gotten some feedback about that, so I'm feeling a little self-conscious right now, and personally a little attacked. So I'm doing great, though, man.
Who'd your feedback come from? Was it just from me?
I don't know. Here on this podcast, I think being anonymous is very important. We don't like to use people's names because it's not cool to do that. We leave people anonymous. So I'm not going to say who said that to me, but it's been heard, received. So it's been great, dude. It's been great.
Full disclosure, though, I'll be honest, I was the one who definitely just told you that right before we started. But so I'm going to call myself out. It was definitely, I definitely told you, let's do some pleasantries. Let's chat, shoot the shit a bit.
How you doing? You living the dream out there?
Yeah, dude. California, there's nothing outside of living the California dream. What did Katy Perry say? I don't really want to quote Katy Perry right now, but I'm down to quote it. California
girls.
Oh shoot, wrong quote. No, yeah. Wrong quote. I was thinking California girl.
There's Welcome to the Hometown California. I mean, there's that. I mean, I could have just misquoted a lyric too. I mean, who knows?
Welcome to the hotel. I think you're quoting the song Hotel California, dude.
Hometown or Hotel California?
It's called Hotel California.
I'll see, there you go. I just misquoted the lyric.
That's okay. It's a good thing you're on the Way Too Serious podcast because we really don't care if we misquote something. It's really not that serious. So I'm happy you misquoted that song. Welcome to the hometown California.
You know, honestly, if you're from hometown California, I mean, good job to you. I was driving around, 7, 8 years ago, and there's a town in Illinois called Harpster. Harpster. Who would name a town Harpster? What is wrong with you? Did you throw a bag of stuff in a bag and just basically be like, hey, I'm going to pull a random name out? Are we cool with that? All right, cool. Harpster.
That's actually a really funny thing. You got my mind rolling. Give me 1 second. I need to look something up because I want to look up random city names because that is very funny. I remember Harpster, Illinois, and I want to see what are some funny names that have popped up in different cities.
Well, I think it's funny up here in Michigan. We've got Grand Rapids, and then there's Big Rapids. But Big Rapids is smaller than Grand Rapids. So, does Big just fall in pecking order? Grand is bigger than Big? Or, I don't know. I mean, that's some food for thought.
What do I think? I think Grand, It depends. When I go to Starbucks and I order a drink, a Grand or a Grande definitely is not the largest drink. It's only 16 fluid ounces. So, yeah. I don't think a Grand... I would say Big. Maybe Big Rapids. You said Big Rapids is actually smaller than Grand Rapids?
It's a lot smaller than Grand Rapids. I think it's maybe 25,000 people. And I'm not going to be quoted on that because I've never been there, so I'm not really going to talk too much about it. But it's definitely smaller.
That's poor naming on city names. And I just realized I should probably look up in America because right now I'm getting different names. And these are definitely interesting names, but I can't pronounce some of them Sakamana, Indonesia,
Yeah, you should limit it to the US.
And then there's one called Nieppe in France. I could have butchered that. Hold on, real city names in America. Random U.S. city names. The weirdest American city names. Okay, are you ready for this? Because this is actually... I think you're going to enjoy this. It's actually coming from Babbel.com.
Oh, Babbel. Well, that's new.
Yeah, Babbel. All right, are you ready? How many do you want to hear? Do you want to hear the most interesting ones, or do you want to hear...
Here on this podcast, we make lists. Let's go top 10.
All right, top 10. Well, there's 35, so I'm going to try and figure out what my favorite 10 are out of this list. Um, I'm going to just give these in no particular order. Here's the first one. You ever know that there's a city named Bangs, Texas? Someone's just cutting hair. I'm guessing that was named by a
Where's
farmer.
like the sideburns or stuff like that? They've got bangs, but where's sideburns at?
No, it's just Bangs,
Just
Texas, man.
bangs. All right.
No sideburns. There is a city called Fry's, Virginia.
I mean, sounds very French.
It does. The boring reality is that the town was named after Colonel Francis Fries. It was actually named after a name. Has nothing to do with French fries. It's not very American, in my
Now,
opinion.
here's the serious question: is it fries or freeze? Because if it's freeze,
If we have any viewers that are from that city or near Virginia, please let me know. Let us know because I
fries
have
or
no idea.
freeze.
I'm going fries. This is probably actually the number one. I don't think we're going to see one. I'm only at 29 out of 35, and it starts with 35 being the worst, going down to one being, I'm guessing, the best. But this, in my opinion, is the best name I've seen so far. Dinosaur, Colorado. Like Dinosaur, Colorado.
I have heard of that one actually. I have a friend back from like in Illinois where they know somebody from like Dinosaur, Colorado. Is it near like the Denver area?
It doesn't show me a map. I couldn't tell you. But I love dinosaurs,
All
so
right,
that's
what's the number one worst name?
well, we're still only on the fourth one, so this one's called Why Not North Carolina.
Okay,
Why
why
not?
not? I mean, that's a
Yeah.
Pokemon too, but I vibe
Yeah.
with it.
Why not? In Texas, this is not a surprise, but there's a city called Cut and Shoot.
I'll accept that one, I guess. Sure.
This one's super confusing. Canadian Texas.
No Mexican Texas.
No, there's
No.
just there's. This is really confusing. This is number 6. OK, Oklahoma. Like
Okay.
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 Keep in mind that Oklahoma's initials, like their abbreviation, is OK. So I
Okay.
mean
Okay.
that's super. Yeah, that's super confusing. Number 7, Uncertain, Texas. They're not very sure.
I think they've got some things to figure out.
They also need to figure out how to name their cities because the majority of these are in the state of Texas. Texas, what the hell is wrong with you? I just gotta say.
I mean, we talk about Ohio kind of being like the crap hole of America. I mean, isn't Texas the armpit?
That's true. That's very true. All right, number 8. I need you to visit this place. You need to go. I don't know if I would make a date night out of this, but the city is called Colon, Michigan. It's also nicknamed Brown City. Not sure if you want to go there and check it out, but
I gotta see
just
how close that is to where I'm at. Bear with me. All right, Colon, Michigan. See,
Colon, Michigan.
it's a weekend drive away. It's only an hour and a half. Huh.
Huh. What if they have the best like cheese curds there or something? You have to go. You got to check it out.
I mean, it's so close to Indiana, so I mean, it could be the colon of Michigan. So
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, are you ready for number 9?
I am ready for number 9. Hit me with
All
it.
right, China, Texas.
What was it?
China,
China.
Texas.
China.
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 China, Texas.
China, Texas. China.
Yes, China.
China.
And the last one. Are you ready for this? This is the number 10, no particular order. Hooker, Oklahoma. Named after John Hooker.
Hooker or Pooker?
Hooker. Hooker. Hooker, Oklahoma.
Well, I think Oklahoma needs to revisit some career choices and not be Hooker.
And
Oklahoma.
just to protect ourselves from this, just in case, if you guys need to quote this article or anything, it was not us, so I don't know if these are real cities. I'm going based off this guy. I don't know if I should give a shout out, but shout out to Federico Prandi. This article is called The 35 Weirdest American City Names. It's off of Babel magazine. So I'm assuming it's somewhat legit.
Well, it could
Talk to
be.
Federico. Don't talk
Could you
to us.
imagine if it
Talk
was on
to
the Onion and it was just all satire?
Well, either way, like I don't want to be reamed for naming weird cities if they're not real. Like, blame Federico. It's not our fault. It
Well,
wasn't us.
I mean, I've seen people ream for like things a lot worse or like sillier, like not worse, but a lot smaller. I mean, I remember in college, people would get reamed in group texts if you had that green bubble. Which
What does that mean? The green bubble?
the green bubble is a thing that happens when you have an Android phone and you're in a group message with a bunch of iPhone users. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, people really are just like, "Ah, dude, really? I've got to have a group message and get these texts instead of like seeing that little loading bubble for all the iPhone users." And that one person, there's always one person in group projects who'd always be like, "Oh, dude, really? Like, no, let's just," and people would be like, "Oh, like we don't have to use group text. Like, let's just use like group me." And I think that's honestly how people like started getting into group me, or I don't even know what are the other ones like. There was
I don't know what the other ones are, but doesn't GroupMe only send in like green bubbles too? Is that the
yeah.
irony behind
I feel like
it?
GroupMe's whole fan base is just people that are like, oh, we're trying to be inclusive. There's those few Android users out there, and so we're gonna be inclusive and just be like, oh, hey, no more green bubbles. Everybody's the same, even though we use green bubbles. It's like you idiots.
That's the funny thing too, is like it's like labeling the fact that they're using an Apple versus an Android as opposed to just labeling them as cell phones, right? Like they all still have the same functionalities in my opinion. Like can you tell me that an Android phone doesn't allow you to take photos and send them via message or email? I mean they do, right?
Well, yeah, they do the same functionality. They're all cell phones. I'm trying to think of it. What was it? The iPhone 10 or iPhone X? Whichever one they really, I don't remember which one they ended up going with, but they came out with like the notch for the cell phone, and all the Android, like Samsung, I think got in on it, and maybe um, was I don't think Google was around. Like they didn't have their phone yet. They still outsourced to like Huawei and stuff, but everyone was like bashing on the notch, and there was like that one person that had like a notch haircut, and they basically were like, oh yeah, I'm an Android user, but like I don't want that notch, and now everybody was trying to like emulate that notch. It's like, oh my gosh, people love the notch, but in reality, people just didn't want to be that green text.
I honestly thought you were talking about the knot for the longest time and just
The
planning a
knot?
wedding, but yeah,
Oh
the
no no
knot,
no no
the notch.
no
Well,
no. There's a notch.
the notch. That's so funny. Anyways, we got a fun episode for you guys today. We're going to talk about some tech stuff, the debates between which brands are better. Is it an Apple and Android? We're going to talk about Macs versus PCs, as well as Xbox versus PlayStation. And it's going to be a fun one because we're going to dig into this stuff. And just as Zero just mentioned, I have no idea what the hell the notch is. I just got to be honest. Like, I've never heard of the
You've
notch.
never
You
heard of the
described it
notch?
like in like kind of like a butcher cut afro. I don't even know how to describe.
So
That's
you
what it
don't
looked like.
remember the iPhone 10 with like the notch like in the screen where the camera, the speaker, and
Oh,
everything is at?
that's
Yeah,
what you're talking about. The
that's the
notch.
notch.
Okay, well now they have a dumb island that kind of just like pops up in the middle of the screen anyway. So I mean, did they really do much better than having the notch in the phone? Because like there's still a random bubble. It just they eliminated that top part of the notch, which is if I'm looking at my phone right now, it looks like it's not even like 2 millimeters of size. Like
Well, it's a dynamic island. They tried like I remember the Apple event for that. They're like, "Oh, look at this dynamic island! Like it changes. You go to Spotify or Apple Music." And they said Apple Music because they're not going to promote Spotify during an Apple event. And they were like so hyped for it. They were saying how this changes the game. We were able to get the camera under the screen, which from an engineering perspective, kudos to you. That's actually really impressive. But for the sake of this argument, it looks stupid.
that's a game changer. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. When they released the island and they talked about the cell phone, like the new thing, the only thing I think I ever remember hearing was that they did a little better resolution on the camera. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest. Every release with Apple's new iPhone, oh, the iPhone 14. Now we got a little better resolution. The iPhone 15, a little more better resolution. Like next year, don't shock me with anything crazy because right now I'm just expecting better resolution on the camera.
Well, I
That's
think
it.
this year they like preached, they're like, oh, you get the USB-C port because, and they're trying to like market that as something that was revolutionary for an iPhone. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, you had to do that because EU regulations forced you to. It wasn't because you wanted to do it, it's because you had to comply with EU regulations, which they're getting raked through the coals right now with all those things. But it's funny, you see a bunch of memes where Apple announces something and it's just like the Android user being like, I remember when we got that 5 years ago, that's fun.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, you know, the funniest thing too is like, it's also like, aside from like the EU regulations you're talking about, they're also getting, you know, some scrutiny for just like changing the charger. Because as a consumer, right? Like, you don't know. Obviously, you're in tech, so you know a bit about like the EU regulations and stuff. Just being a normal consumer, I look at it as Apple just trying to make some more money. Now I have to go out and buy a new charger? Like, are you kidding me? I've been charging my phone with this stupid pin thing, and I thought that like having the USB-C plug into a brick was revolutionary. I thought that was crazy because now I got a fast charging iPhone, right? Now I
Yeah.
have to buy a new cord? Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, the whole shtick of that for them was like, oh yeah, everybody sells it, but by the way, if you don't use the Apple approved one, it'll degrade your battery faster. And it's like, what? Well, that's bogus.
You know what's also insane about that too is like outside of that, they also are like, oh yeah, we're trying to be more environmentally friendly, so we're just gonna remove the cube from the box of the phone when you buy a new phone.
You have
So
a brick already. Why give you one? We gave you one 3 years ago with your iPhone.
you don't know that. You don't know if
They
someone
don't
went
know
through
that.
hell, like, right? Someone could have been, I don't know, just enjoying a nice cup of coffee, and their dog runs up and knocks over their cup of coffee and just happens to spill on their brick. And now they got to buy a new brick because Apple will not provide them for us.
Kudos to you, Apple. You've created a vicious cycle where you're charging people money. Congrats. But also, if you want to sponsor this podcast, by all means, please reach out to us.
Get out of here with that. They are not going to sponsor us after we just took a massive shit on their like their marketing program. There's no
Hey,
way in hell
I don't know what
if
you're
they do.
recording on. I'm recording on a MacBook, and I have an iPhone right here. Here's my Apple Watch. I mean,
All right, that's fair. I have an iMac too, Apple Watch. So Apple, I mean, yeah, huge plug. If you want to sponsor us, go for it. But like, we are going to shit on both Apple and Android during this podcast. Just saying.
oh yeah.
But yeah, the funniest thing too is like, so obviously we both use Apple products as we just mentioned with the watch and stuff. But like, Apple's gotten like I haven't seen anything super revolutionary. They release a new product every year in, year out, and it's like, okay, cool, I get it. Like, you have
Yeah.
to come up with something for the consumer, right? But like, they haven't changed much in their Macs or anything like that. I haven't seen any product changes. Like, what they do for the iPad? Anything different? Like, aside from just making the
I
screen like
think
what 2.2 inches bigger? Is that?
they gave you more screen and they put the camera at the top. So that's what really confuses me. You can make a iPad without the island, but you have to have the island on the phone. That makes no sense to me. They just have the camera at the top and they're like, oh yeah, like we give you more screen real estate on the iPad. And I think they threw like the M1 chip and the M2 chip in the iPads because they're like, oh, we believe that computing shouldn't be just a computer anymore. We should give you computing on the go. But in reality, it's like your MacBook weighs, like if you get just a MacBook Air, it weighs like 3 pounds. The iPad weighs like 2 pounds. But I mean, am I
Can you
that
really tell
weak where I
difference?
can't lift an extra pound?
I mean, when you go to the grocery store, you typically buy like 1 to 2 pounds of meat, right? Like if you just add an extra pound, you
Just
really
add an
don't
extra
know.
pound. I mean,
Yeah, you
yeah,
can't tell. It's not like you're getting jacked over picking up groceries or carrying a MacBook versus a MacBook Air. It's not like it's a game changer.
it's not. I mean, there's the one huge game changer though. This just came to mind because we are talking about EU regulations. The whole debate on smartwatches, is it like an Apple Watch, or now there's that one brand, I don't even know their name, but they won the lawsuit against Apple because they claim that Apple stole their heart rate monitor, or no, it was the blood oxygen monitor on there, where they said they're like, oh, they totally stole our idea for that. Which, granted, you did steal a lot of their engineers from that company, hired them in, and put them on the blood oxygen portion of the Apple Watch, but
But did
It's
that other company actually release the blood oxygen
they did.
monitor on? Oh, they did.
They did. They're now like really throwing their product out there. And it honestly looks like dog crap. It does not look good. I mean, I don't think any watches look that great. The Apple Watch looks the best out of all of them, which doesn't really say a lot. You're like pulling the least stinkiest piece of crap from the pile.
That's fair. I mean, Samsung watches, I remember like I think they've kind of upgraded and gotten to a point where there's like interchangeable watch bands too now. I will say that Apple hasn't really changed much. They came out with the Apple Watch. What was the Ultra or something is the newest one.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the Ultra.
yeah, the most premier one. If you're like, I have one, but I'm not like big into triathlons or anything. You're not gonna see me swimming through the Atlantic Ocean or anything like
Or
that.
hiking the
Or,
tallest Mount Everest. Like,
well, that might actually happen. I might actually climb
oh,
Mount
well,
Everest.
I mean, kudos to you, man. Go for it.
I mean, I was very inspired by that one movie.
Hachi.
No, there's another one where the guy is like climbing free. Is it called Free Climb or something? Or Free Solo is what it's called. It's on it's like a History Channel thing. The guy's a nut. I'm nothing like the guy. He
I'm gonna be
doesn't have
honest.
some parts of his
I
brain
watched
operational.
Shark Week and that's it.
This is a weird random side note just because I started watching this last night and I'm very intrigued just for viewers to know. I'm super intrigued with Skinwalkers. This is really random, but like
Skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers, yeah. And I don't want to get too deep into like what Skinwalkers are because I'll talk conspiracy theory at the end of this episode. But like Skinwalkers, there's a ranch called Skinwalker Ranch. It's somewhere in Utah, and I've been watching this documentary about Skinwalkers, and like there's this random stuff that happens. Cow spines just get like removed just randomly. There's been some UFO activity, and if you're not into that stuff, that's fine. Like that, it is what it is. But like, I'm kind of intrigued by it. Where this guy, like, just short note, they're not supposed to dig at this site. The day before they dug, the next day this guy has this like massive egg-shaped tumor in the back of his head, and is like
Dang.
his like head started to disseparate or whatever. It was nuts,
I
freaking
mean, for
crazy.
funsies, man, if you really wanted to, if we get more than like, let's just set the bar really low so we can just make it a reality. If we get more than 5 views on our next podcast, we can just do a conspiracy episode. Let's set the bar low. Let's do the conspiracy podcast.
Let's talk conspiracy sometime, dude. Because there's some very weird conspiracies out there. We'll touch back on it later because we're talking tech. I don't want to talk conspiracy and
I
tech.
mean, speaking of tech and conspiracies, there's the whole 5G thing going on with coronavirus.
Well, I mean, not to mention that this past week, everyone's cell phone towers were out. I remember you texted me about that. Hey, is your cell phone working? I was like, yeah, I mean, I got your text message. Clearly it's working. I had no idea about the outage.
It was a
But,
huge outage, and AT&T was like, "We're sorry." It's like,
yeah, it's funny like how chill I was about it because you're like, yeah, 50,000 customers. I was like, dude, that's a very small fraction in the United
and
States.
then
But
I followed up. I'm like, "Yeah, but that's the people that actually clicked the button to report it. It's not everybody."
it's just like when like electricity goes out and PG&E's like, oh, there's like 4,000 customers that are affected
And
by
then
this.
when
Not-
it's you affected, you're like, "That's a lot of people. They need to get going." But like in the grand scheme of things, you're like, honestly, that's not a lot of people in the U.S. Like when you're affected, you overstate like what's happening. You're like, "Oh, this is a lot of people that are without that. You need to get going." And everyone's like, "That's not a lot of people, dude. That's not a lot."
But so like one thing I was thinking about when you were talking about like the difference between Apple and Android, one thing, and this is a piece of business, is if Apple takes this and runs with it, I want to get some royalties out of this because this is a genius idea, by the way.
A royalty?
First of all,
That's
I want a
Kevin
royalty
O'Leary.
deal out of this.
That's Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank esque.
Kevin O'Leary can hit me up for this idea. But like what I'm trying to say is, let's be real. The HomePod has not taken off from Apple. Apple was like, oh yeah, let's create this HomePod thing, right? Why not revolutionize the Beats pill? The Beats pill was a freaking hit back in the day. Let's be real. Like the Beats pill was a pretty good speaker. Everyone was like, oh yeah, you got the Beats pill. They're trending. You guys also own the rights to Dr. Dre Beats. Work in collaboration with him and make a Beats Pod. There you go. Not HomePod, Beats Pod.
Beat spot.
Bam.
I think that just sounds like domestic violence waiting to happen, dude.
No, everyone associates that with the Beats, dude. There's just because your mind goes there does not mean the general population thinks Beats Pod. Like, oh, even if you were to beat a pod, how is that domestic violence? Who are you
Tide
hurting
Pod,
by
dude.
beating a pod?
Why do you hate Tide Pods? They're good desserts.
I don't even want to. I don't want to unwrap that. Not at all. Good desserts. Get out of here with that.
You don't remember people would be like, "Oh, let's have a Tide Pod," and like, there's the Tide Pod challenge.
I remember that.
That was peak stupidity in this country. People were doing Tide Pods. It's like, you guys are idiots. And Darwin had it right with survival of the fittest on that. Let me get this Tide Pod though. It's like, dude.
I thought you were talking about personal. I was like, I don't want to unwrap this and talk about your struggles.
No,
with
not
time.
me.
Definitely don't want to get into that. So that's basically our wrap on Apple versus Android because like right now,
We're just
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Who loves the green bubble when they see it? Let's be
No one.
real.
I
No
mean,
one.
it's gonna. I think Apple has to comply now with EU regulations again to get rid of the green bubble. So there's this whole RCS messaging that's supposed to come out, which Android has it already, but Apple has been very resilient to it. So green bubble's not even gonna matter in like 6 months. So this is a moot point to complain about. But I think people took it seriously in college. So that's the whole overview. People took it seriously in college. They said you were like some broke.
Well, you didn't just leak sensitive information about like messaging, did you? Because I actually did not know about that.
I didn't. I did not.
You signed an NDA. What are you talking about?
I signed an NDA for other things, not for that.
All right, fair enough. You're off the hook for this one. So the next thing is still related to Apple. We're going to talk Mac versus PC. I'm going to be real. Started a new job. I was working on a Mac for the last 2 years. I asked them specifically, hey, can I get a MacBook for my computer? Oh, let us talk to HR. They said no. I have one of those ThinkPad, the Lenovo ThinkPads, and I get it. They're cheap. You can buy them in bulk. They're probably like $300 a laptop. Like, it's a good buy for a business. But I hate them. I hate switching from a Mac to a PC. Like, I cannot stand the difference. Like, I'm trying to get Google Chrome as my default browser, and for some reason it still opens on Microsoft Edge. I
You
don't
have to
know
go
why.
into your settings and do that.
I did that. I went into my settings and changed my default browser, and for some reason it still opens out of my email into Microsoft Edge. I've changed the settings in both my Outlook as well as my thing, but since Outlook is a Microsoft product, and so is Microsoft Edge, for some reason they don't want to talk to Google Chrome. I hate it.
Well,
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt.
I can't really relate to that because my job gives me the option to choose Mac or PC, and just for security purposes, I have to use like a Windows computer just for that. It's hard to do what I do on a Mac, and I had the choice, but I'm like, if I can have both, sure, yeah, I'll take a Mac, I'll take a PC, why not? Like, personally, at home, I use a MacBook. I feel like the whole like benefit of using a Mac is just people think Macs are not like prone to get viruses. They think they're virus proof. And it's like, I mean, if you go and download a bunch of stuff, you're obviously going to get viruses. If you just keep downloading malware and shit.
I mean, what a time we're in now, though. Like, you remember back in the days, and like, please do not catch me on this for saying on the record that, like, you know, LimeWire. I'm not saying I did anything back in the day. I am very aware of what LimeWire is. I know how that thing operated, but I'm not making any claims. I'm just saying I'm aware of LimeWire. That was and now there's Spotify. So they basically took what LimeWire did back in the day and made it justifiable as long as you want to pay a subscription fee per month.
I will say, and this is throwing it back to college days, even for myself, a lot of people would judge you based on what kind of laptop you had because having a MacBook back in the day was actually pretty pricey versus like buying the $400, $500 Windows computer. Like every college kid would be like, oh, I got a Windows. And there was one time in one of my classes where we were doing profiling because I took some criminal justice courses, and this person profiled me, and I'm like, I work at Kroger, my dude. Like, I work at the grocery store down the street, so obviously I'm not swimming in mad cash. She's like, nah, you got a MacBook, you got iPhone, you got it all. Like, I think you well off. And I'm like, well, for one, that wasn't proper sentence structure, but I think that's a terrible profiling.
I remember back in the day, this is like a side note about tech, but like I don't think my dog really cared for MacBook versus PC either because he took a crap on my MacBook
He also
and
peed on
destroyed
it.
it. He also pissed on it. So like I don't think he was like I don't know if it was a message he was trying to send me and say, "Hey dude, like I'm not really a fan of Mac. I think you should switch back to PC." So then he shit on my laptop, dude.
And you
It's
still
just
love
weird.
him.
Yeah, he's still around. He's still kicking around. He's a cool dog, but like he did shit on my MacBook. I'm just gonna say that guy.
All right, for the sake of time, let's make our final judgment. Mac or PC? What's the score so far? We've got one for Apple already. We want to
Yeah,
shock another one
I'm
up?
still going Mac. I'm still going Mac. Like I still hate my work laptop. I get my work done, but I hate it.
All right, Apple, you've got 2 points already, and now you're just
Apple won
disqualified.
that division because Apple has no skin in the game for Xbox versus PlayStation.
Oh no, they get nothing. This is where PC takes ahead because Microsoft is winning. PlayStation versus Xbox.
I mean, I have both systems. I know you do as well. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think I even have an Xbox subscription anymore for online because I only play PlayStation.
I want to say
That's all
mine's
I've
a
been.
Blu-ray player. It's a $500 Blu-ray player in my living room.
You know, you can buy one for like $80, like a
I
Blu-ray,
know you can
right?
buy one, but I mean, it fits at this point. Do I really want to move it? No. So here's one of the world's most expensive Blu-ray players for no reason, just to collect dust. Xbox Series X.
But isn't PlayStation? I thought their Blu-ray player is slightly better than Xbox's because Xbox runs off an application.
Probably is.
Because they technically don't have an actual Blu-ray player, from what I understand, is they have an application that allows you to read Blu-rays at a high level, but they technically don't have the rights to a Blu-ray player since Sony owns those rights. Is that correct?
I think that's correct.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really much of a debate. It's funny how we've talked about Android versus iPhone, Mac versus PC, and now PlayStation versus Xbox. Back in the day, a lot of people went to PlayStation because Microsoft decided to charge you an extra $100 for that next-gen console, the Xbox One. But with everything cross-platform now, I feel like there's no division. We've hit a point of unity with all these things, which is kind of cool, I guess.
Well, the only thing I will say is the reason why we're seeing Unity right now is because Microsoft is slacking right now. And I'll tell you why they're slacking. Have you seen a new Halo game release in a
I
long
knew it was
time?
going to Halo.
Because let's be real, that's the real division on Microsoft Xbox versus PlayStation is the fact that they have Halo.
Well, I mean, PlayStation has Spider-Man. Everyone loves Spider-Man. So, I mean,
Yeah, but I mean Spider-Man in like the caliber. You're talking like first person shooter games. Like Halo was like the game of games back in
we
the
have
day.
like Call of Duty. I mean,
Yeah, like Call of Duty was like a fair second. One, because most of the time you would veer with buying an Xbox back in the day because new Halo games were coming out, but you also had access to Call of Duty. PlayStation has Call of Duty, but do they have access to Halo? No. But, I mean, right now, I'm not going to go sit and play Halo Reach. Come on, Xbox, like, come out with something new. Let's just be honest. Like, if you want to win the skin in the game, like, PlayStation is kicking your ass right now. Because, one, their graphics are better. Two, they have some cool games that are exclusive to PlayStation only. And Xbox, you haven't had any marquee game that's really stuck out. That's been, like, your staple of the system that's going to kick PlayStation's butt. Let's be real.
By the way, Microsoft, if you want to sponsor us, also this is another shameless plug.
Or PlayStation. I mean, I'm open to
Or
Sony.
PlayStation.
Yeah, dude, why are you shooting low? Shoot high. Shoot for Sony. Who cares about Microsoft? Like,
I mean,
get out of here.
I've been setting the bar low on this episode with the talk about skinwalkers and conspiracies, so I just want to stay consistent.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of like the Clippers by any means, but Steve Ballmer, if you want to send us free tickets too, I mean, I'm down to
I'll watch a
go.
Clippers game. I mean, y'all are doing pretty decent. It's still Staples Center. Oh,
No, I
sorry, the
don't want to
Crypto
watch
Arena.
them. Well, if they're going to send tickets, I want to see a Clippers versus Lakers game where it's the Clippers home team because then it's technically still a Lakers home game for me because it's still a Crypto.com arena.
It's
So it
still
really
getting
doesn't make
fought.
a difference.
Someone will fight you.
It still doesn't matter. So next year, if they do end up doing it, Steve Ballmer, I know they're building a new arena. So
They're
I mean,
playing the
I'm
next
okay.
season.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely willing to check that out if it was free. If it was
Only
free,
if.
I'm not going to a Lakers away game at the Clippers Stadium. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm also not going to go see the Clippers play anybody.
Oh, absolutely not. All right,
Exactly.
so final poll. We got Apple for 2, and we got Microsoft. You don't win a point. It goes to Sony. So you took the L in every category because we didn't even feel it relevant to bring up Windows Phone and the Android versus iPhone because nobody gave a crap about Windows Phone. So Microsoft, you
I
took the
didn't
L.
even know I forgot they even made a phone, the Windows phone. Like, I know more about. You know that like Motorola still got some skin in the game. You seen that like Razer
The
phone they came
Razor
out with?
Flip. It's like
The
they're
flip.
just. I think they're just trying to get people with nostalgia at this point.
Hey, Motorola still got some skin in the game in the walkie-talkie division. If people still use those.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
good for
walkie-talkies.
those people.
Oh yeah. So let's go into the MVPs. Let's talk about our MVPs for this week. The MVPs is someone who took things way too serious. You want me to go first, or you want to take this one?
Heck, I'll go first. Why not? I think Apple is the MVP of taking things way too seriously all the time. You're like a consistent MVP across the boards. You take things way too seriously and you take everything personally. I mean, just watch the Steve Jobs movie. He took everything personally, especially his daughter saying she was his daughter. And he fought that tooth and nail, even though like he knew that Lisa was his daughter. So, Apple, you are my MVP all the time. I talked
Oh,
about this with you a little earlier. My MacBook got a dent in it, and it's like less than 2 weeks old. The build quality is complete shit. I am heated
oh
about
man.
it. No,
Yes.
like
Speak to it. Tell us more about that. What happened to your MacBook? You got some dents in that thing?
I got a dent on the back, and I have this in a case, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, how does this happen? Like, it's protected. I have a thick case. It's got padding on it. Yet somehow there's a little dent on the back near the fan, and I was like, what the heck? I protect this. So apparently they didn't take that seriously enough because they just were like, oh, let's just throw a MacBook out there. I mean, if you can afford it, why not? I mean, we made this new ionization. I don't know what the terminology is. They said they did something new though to the aluminum to make it more like stronger, and I was like, it's definitely not stronger. I tried pounding that dent out on the back plate. Nah, that thing is gonna snap if I do too much. So,
Hmm.
but everything else they take seriously. I mean, good for you. You take other things way too serious when you shouldn't, but the things you should take seriously, you don't. So I mean, Apple, come on, step up your game.
Are you referring to the $3,500 AI glasses? The goggles?
I mean, a lot of people try them for like a week or two and then they return them. So a lot of
I
people
kind of
like
want to. I kind of want to just get one just to like kind of
you could
test them
return
out,
it. Just use it and return it.
get a test run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, for Apple to make accusations that they made their aluminum stronger, aluminum's actually one of the weaker metals out there.
Oh,
So
100%. It's very
I don't know
weak.
why they would make those claims.
All right, who's your
use
MVP?
use stainless steel next time. Like
Stainless steel would be dope.
that would be a cool laptop. My MVP, you actually stole it right out of my mouth. I was gonna say Apple because I think they've been eavesdropping on like me talking conspiracy theory. So this is what I'm talking about with conspiracy theory. Weird take, and I don't know if anyone else buys into this or not, but I've been talking a lot about Michael Jackson faking his death 15 years ago. I think he's making a comeback. I think he's been hiding in hiatus. There's a lot behind this. I don't want to pull into too many details of the conspiracy, but Michael Jackson, so like here's the odd thing about his death. They have no info on like the any like reports of what happened for his death. There's no cause of death. There's no like reality to his death. There's no toxicology reports. There's nothing. There wasn't even an open casket at his funeral when he died a very painless death. which makes it even weirder, right? Like, why would you have a closed casket for someone who's well loved as a celebrity when nothing happened? He didn't tragically die in a car wreck. He didn't die of like a drug overdose. So what has he been doing? They released some weird videos
Did
recently.
Paul Walker have an open casket funeral?
I actually don't know. I don't want to be like caught on that one. I'm not really sure. But
I
Michael
would-
Jackson's, his was closed from what I know. His was a closed casket. And there's been like footage of like different voiceovers of him like releasing things on New Year's Eve. And maybe it's all just fake and my phone's trying to like spook me because I'm like buying into like conspiracy theory. They're like, hey, we're going to catch this guy. We're going to make him believe that Michael Jackson is coming back.
Believe
And now I'm telling everyone he's coming back. You wait. You wait. Mark my words when you hear this. And then you see 3 months down the road, he died on June 25th back in 2009. So 15 years later, if he comes back June 25th, 2024, mark my words. I called it
You called it.
right here. I
Right.
called it.
Next favorite segment, hypocritical moment. We always love this. We always love the self-reflection. I mean, it's my favorite part. As you can tell, I am so ecstatic about self-reflection right now.
You and I both share that. We both aren't very like animated on our faces about like being excited and ecstatic about it,
I don't
but
think we are excited about self-reflection, honestly.
self-reflection is not as fun as people think it is. Like if
No,
it was,
it's
don't do it.
demoralizing.
oh yeah, you have to sit there and think about how shitty you were, like, you know, like how you could do something better. Like how can I improve on this? All right, mine was pretty recent. It was today. I was at the grocery store and I just get so irritated. Like, have you ever been walking and like I apologize if anyone listening to this hears like, yeah, I'm actually a slow walker in a store. But I hate when people walk slow. Like, so there's this guy, he was walking super slow into the self-checkout lane. But then when I see him leave the store, dude's like booking it, right? Like, why was he walking so slow to block me off from the self-checkout line and then just to like zoom to his car when he got out of the store? Like,
Maybe
bro,
you had to go to the bathroom really bad.
I mean, he's still got a car ride. There's a bathroom inside of the Target I was at. Like, why didn't
Some
he just
people
run
have
to
a
the
fear
bathroom?
of going to the bathroom in public.
Yeah, he needs to work on his Kegel exercises then. I have no excuses for this guy aside from he cut me off in the self-checkout line and I was not very happy.
Dang.
That's it.
All right,
So-
mine is. I think mine's today also. We just got into the grocery store and this lady's like pushing her cart, and she just like got right in front of us, and I was like, "Did you think that was weird?" To my wife, like I said that to my wife, and she's like, "No, she said she was sorry," and I was like, "She looked at us weird though," and she's like, "No, she's just saying she was sorry," and I was like, "Oh." Well, I guess I got heated because I thought she was just being rude. She apparently she was like, "I'm sorry," like she didn't mean to do that. And I was ready to like be like, "Yo, what the heck?" Like,
That's funny you say that because the guy that like was walking really slow to the grocery store, like he kept looking back at me. Like I didn't understand what his deal was. Like, bro, I was just trying to walk to the same checkout line as you. If you didn't see, I had groceries I needed to scan and pay for. I'm trying to pay for my groceries like a normal civilized human being. I'm sorry, I'm doing a normal function. I didn't know what to do. I was like,
how dare you?
yeah, how dare me for wanting to pay for my
Audacity.
groceries. Yeah, the audacity. Why didn't I just walk out and shoplift? Like, what the hell? What's wrong with you, man?
Why did you
paying
even go into the store and pick up stuff? Just go home.
Yeah, I mean, just like starved to death. I don't know. That guy was weird. I don't like him. I'm just gonna put that out there. Now I'm taking things way too serious, and I don't like it. But
That's
anyways,
what we call it.
exactly. That's what we call it. But thanks for listening today, guys, to this episode of Way Too Serious Podcast, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.